The topics I want to talk about today are they're controversial, and I mean it's one of those subjects where people try to steer clear of because it can sort of ruin careers and ruin your life. But unless we speak up and say how we think too, um, it's just a very one-sided conversation. It's always like people that play the victim always have a louder voice, and it's getting to the point where not only they got the louder voice, it's the only voice. Yeah, it's almost like they're the only just voice, and everyone else is being spiteful. And I think that's got to stop. So it's this cancellation culture and this PC gone mad sort of stuff. It actually drives me crazy. I see it all the time now with this people with the pronouns. People want to be identified as this and that. And it's like, look, if people see a lot of my content, I actually think, be true to yourself, be authentic. But that doesn't mean we can demand people address us how we want to be addressed. You don't get to control other people. You don't get to play puppet master. And that's where it irritates me. It effectively means that we need an encyclopedia of everybody's names, and we need to have the pronoun next to it so we don't ever offend them. I mean, how on earth can you manage through life trying to figure out how to address someone? It's almost like you can't give them a label, but it's just common conversation. If you're that vulnerable and upset about how someone talks to you or addresses you, then you've got a problem. I mean, that's just the reality of it. It's not normal. My views now are going to look like I'm being spiteful and I'm being a bully. But it's not. It's speaking up for myself and it's speaking my mind. I'm not going to be controlled. And I say this a lot in my videos about being controlled. I don't allow people to control me, dominate me, and I'm not going to have someone tell me how and when I can talk to someone and address someone. So you might want someone to address you in a certain way. Doesn't mean they're going to do it, and you're going to have to make peace with that. And I think that's the reality of it. We have free will to do what we want. So someone says, I want to be called they, I don't want to be him or her. It's like, you can want what you want, but that ain't how I'm going to live my life. I'm not going to pussyfoot and tiptoe around people because I think that's madness. And as soon as you start doing that, you'll be doing it forever. I just don't get it. I mean, I don't agree with it. I think whatever you are genetically born with, genitalia, that is your sex, whether you like it or not. I'm sorry. I can't go beyond that. That's not me saying that people can't have those what you call it, surgeries and whatnot. It's not to say you can't do that, but I think you have to be realistic with what you're born with, and that's what you are. But you could doesn't mean you have to behave that way. No one says when you're to be called a male, you have to be sort of dominant and I don't know you'd call it, but you know what I mean. It's not feminine. You can still be feminine male. You just got to be realistic in how you identify in yourself. It's still a male though. But we can go too far with this. But it just drives me crazy that people keep trying to assert themselves too much, and then that transpires onto the other side of it, the cancel culture. Someone says something someone doesn't like, everyone resounds on it. It goes viral. It goes crazy. And let's try and stop someone being successful. Let's control their life now. How dare they? And actually, they accuse someone of being a bully while they're bullying them. It's hypocrisy gone mad. And that's exactly what it is. It's the same as religions. I've already touched on religions enough times within my works and projects. I absolutely don't like religions. And I see this as the same sort of thing. It's like cult. It's a cult. So some people just like to be martyrs. So they jump on the bandwagon of whatever is popular at that time. That's not to say everybody is, but so many are. So if they can sort of ride a bandwagon, they'll ride that bandwagon, and they'll beat that drum. And they love the attention for it. And when one thing sort of loses popularity, they'll find something else to jump on, and it's just their personality, and that's just all they're interested in doing. But like I say, we can't be controlling the mindset of everybody. We can't be doing that. And it's the same with this diversity thing, the diversity culture that's going on right now. And it's like, you see it all the time. I actually touched on it in my book. I think it was Heal Your Mind to Free Your Soul, where people with different ethnicities feel victimized. So rather than seek fair justice in the sense that you just want fairness, they want retribution a lot of the time. So it just creates spite for spite. But when you take away the violent side of it, that can happen, what you notice, even just in the media and on TV, is the white male is becoming less significant and less opportunity. I mean, there's something that actually annoyed me today. I looked, and I hate the removal of history. If something happened in history, then let's be historically accurate. Let's not start changing it willy-nilly just to try and appease certain ethnicities and things. It doesn't make sense to me, and I think it's ridiculous. It's Cleopatra was on Netflix as a TV show. I didn't actually click on it, but it was quite obvious that it was. So again, you can't even people don't want to be labelled anymore. So you can't say in the past, like back in history, coloured would be the appropriate term. Now it's blacks, but now I think it's African American. I don't know. I mean, to say African American means that it's an American, but what if it's a British? There's just no way of going around it. But you don't see white people getting upset about things. So that's the part I just get confused with. It's like, why are we so touchy about things? But anyway, to get back on track, Cleopatra was of Greek heritage. So she was of Greek heritage, and the last pharaoh of Egypt. So if you look at the geography of it all, I would argue it's almost impossible for Cleopatra to be black. I would argue that, judging by the skin tone of an Egyptian and the lighter colour of a Greek, you'd expect her maybe to have golden skin. I would expect golden skin. When I think of her, I think of this lovely golden colour skin that maybe make her unique, makes her stand out, which is probably why she got the attention of Julius Caesar. Now, if you think about Julius Caesar, is it very likely that, considering the times and the way they treat people, that he would have been in love with someone that was black only because of the time period? I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it now. In fact, to just be on topic here, my dad's dad, who I have never met, apparently he's incredibly black. I have no racism in me at all. I'm very open to everybody. But we have to be historically accurate here. I think it's ridiculous to change a whole time period and civilization and culture to appease others. It's just completely changing the narrative now. Like, where does it end? Where does it end? I just can't get my head around it. It is quite a negative episode today, I guess. But it's something that weighs on me an awful lot. It's just this cancel culture drives me crazy. We can have difference of opinion, and that's absolutely fine to seek your identity, be authentic to you, have debate, have conversation, spark change in a positive way. But I think the moment we try to dominate others, tell them how we can approach them, and how we can be addressed, I think it's just a step too far. It's the same with that Me Too movement when that happened, where women just wanted they wanted to be heard, they wanted to be treated with respect, which you get, but it reached a point where there was their independence meant so much that you couldn't even open the door for someone without it seeming like that you're disrespecting them. And it's like, wait a minute, it's a chivalry can't exist. Again, it's the same with this other stuff. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. You literally have to tiptoe on eggshells on everything lately. And I can't fathom it. I just can't understand how we've got to this point. We need to integrate cultures. We need to integrate society and learn to adapt together. But it doesn't mean upheaval the norms. It doesn't mean we have to upheaval everything to integrate those changes. So it's like I said in my other video, like we've all live in a bubble. Each of us have a bubble, Um, and we shouldn't be so offended when someone comes near our bubble and maybe talks to us in a certain way or treats us a certain way. You know, you say that's based on their social conditioning, intelligence, and experiences and who they are. You know, you can't always change someone. So if someone addresses me wrongly, I can't take that personally. And if I do, then that's something for me to learn to address, you know. It's like the singer Sam Smith. Every time I see a news article on him, now bear in mind, I absolutely love his music. Um, don't know much about him personally. I haven't done any research, but every time I see a news article, it drives me mad because they have to call him they. They have to refer to him as they. I'm not playing that game. That's ridiculous. To me, it's crazy because it doesn't even make sense in a sentence. When you're reading it, uh, you're trying to put the sentence together, and every time they say they, it doesn't even fit the sentence. So it's just it doesn't even form an accurate sentence. You know, the one that's comprehensive, it can't even make sense. But if you put him or her in, it would make sense. So to say you don't want to be identified as anything, you don't want to be labelled, I just think this is just absolutely bonkers. I mean, I think we've got more important things to worry about than worrying about being called he, her, or they. And I'm not, you know, I'm not. It's madness. It's reached a point where you literally it's getting incredibly hard to address someone, especially if you don't know who they are. Let's say you don't know someone. How would you do it? Again, I wrote about this in my book. Let's say there was a lineup or something. Let's say you had to identify something happened. Let's say something happened. You have to identify criminals. One's a white male, a black female, an Asian, an elderly Asian person. The list goes on. How do you identify any of them? Because so far, from what I can understand, is the only one that can be identified as a white person because they have no worry about it or concerns. They don't really get bent out of shape about it. So that's fine. But you actually can't call them a man, a male or female because you don't know if it's going to get touchy. So how do you actually identify someone? Again, it's going to get to the point where you can't even say if someone's skinny, fat. I mean, I guess it wouldn't be fat nowadays. You've got to say obese. So you have to literally bite your tongue and have to go, well, I didn't mean that. It's getting to the madness. You know, it should be as simple as saying what you see is what it is. Because I think it's getting to the point where you can't even identify someone anymore. We may as well all just be on the moon. But yeah, so you speak up, you look like you're out of touch, you look like you're very obnoxious and critical of everybody, but it's really, we all live in the same world, and I think being told how we can and cannot address someone and how we can approach our days, I think is just ridiculous. Yeah, the idea that I get told to refer to someone as this and that, I'll refer to them how I want to refer to them, and I don't care. You know, it's just that's how that is. So if someone wants to call me whatever, it's like whatever. You know, I don't care. You know, you've got to have thicker skin in this world. I think to have. Yeah, I don't get it. I can understand fighting for your justices if you feel there's an injustice, but I think seeking revenge is not good. That creates a spiral of tit for tat, because there'll always be someone that's suffering at some point. But really, we should just be looking to help each other, really, and grow and become one society, really. But as I say, I think this labelling is wrong. This fact that we can't even, you know, because you see it all the time now. How do you integrate people? If someone's a male and they're referring to themselves as a female, then where'd you put them? You know, if they've done wrong and they've got to go to jail, or if they've got to play in a sports team or something, it's just you can tell immediately it's wrong to put them in the one they're not born into, if you know what I mean. Oh, there's not even a grey area. It's literally madness at the moment. Everything's up in the air. The world's gone absolutely mental. If anything, we're better off going into be frozen in time for a while while everyone figures it out. Eventually, I think it'll all die down because people will just get fed up with it and they just ignore it. It's probably the best way to deal with it, really. You just do what you want. If someone gets bent out of shape, then let them moan, and then continue on your day. I think it's probably the only way to cope with that. Or just try your best not to say he, she, her, them, they, dim. You know, I don't know. You know, it does seem like I'm out of touch, but I really ain't out of touch with it. I'm just sick and tired of the mind games that come with it. Because if it ain't this, it's going to be something else. I mean, they were talking about deleting things from history, weren't they? I mean, like literature, movies, you've seen it now where some films have been taken down or scenes have been cut. And I just think, what on earth is going on? If it was relevant to a time period, we've got to stop being so delicate that we can't just watch it for what it was. You know, if that's what it was like in a certain period in time, then that's what it was like. And I think it's important that we learn from history. But if we completely remove history, it's like we're so scared to see the truth. You know, we can't face the truth, so we hide behind ignorance, because that's exactly what it is. By deleting anything, is showing shit ignorance of the past. Yeah, it bothers me, wiping out history, because it's disrespect to those that lived in that time. Let's say someone was trying to create change and stuff, and it's like you're deleting everything they achieved, because if things are happening now, then that's a consequence of the past anyway. So everything happens because of something else happened. But yeah, I mean, it's going to look like I'm out of touch, and I don't even care about the consequences of half the stuff I talk about, because I say what's on my mind, and if no one else does, it's only going to be a single narrative that we hear all the time, and we'll be tiptoeing for eternity, tiptoeing around people and their dramas, because people will create drama. They love that, some people. But yeah, we've got to learn to be a bit more thicker skinned, I think, and not be so offended by something someone does or says, because that shouldn't matter to us. But too many people just want to affect other people's lives, and I think that's where we draw a line, really, and say, look, you can want this, you can want that, you can identify as whatever you want in your own private time, but we're going to just say what we see, and you might not like it, but if that's what we can see, that's what we know, and we are going to just have to plead ignorance on this. It's the best I can do. You know, if I said to someone, "Oh, I think he needs something." "Oh, I'm not a he, I'm a she." Mate, you're clearly a he. Let's not. I'm not going to play that game. I'm not going to start thinking, "Oh, it's tiptoeing." "Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to offend you." I'm not playing it. I haven't got the patience for it. It's like, mate, cope. You do what you want to do, because you'll be forever apologising, I think, at this rate. Yeah, but again, this isn't sort of like a hate or prejudice or anything. I think people should be able to be how they want to be. But it's the idea that we affect other people and tell us how we got to address them and behave around people, I think, is where we got to really look into that, because I think it's just getting a bit silly now. And I'm pretty sure something's going to happen, because I think people ain't going to keep accepting it, because we don't like being caged, we don't like being controlled. And where someone says they don't like being talked to with certain words, that's not something they're doing, that's something we're doing. So what they're just trying to control us. That's how I'm seeing that. They're trying to control us, they're trying to control a narrative. And I'm sure if we all just started placating them and said, okay, they'll still find something else to moan about. Because usually it's not that topic or that's really the concern. The concern is they just want a drama. And then it'll be a case of, we need more of this in there. And, again, it's this diversity thing. We'd have to start identifying as all sorts, aliens, if we have to at some point, because it's the only way we can be different. Maybe then I'll get an opportunity. But yeah, I mean, you're damned. It's one of those damned if you do, damned if you don't. I don't think you can. In this day and age, you can't win regardless of what you want to be or how you want to treat people. Because it's not about being a bully or doing anything. It's literally just living in your own lane. I'll just plead ignorance. Like I say, if I see someone and they look like a female and I think they're a female, I'm just going to say her or she, because if I don't know their name, I don't know how else I'm supposed to deal with that situation. They, I guess, but it doesn't come natural to me. I can't just change the way I am. Start referring to everyone as they. They go, which one? Oh, the one with long hair. Or, I just don't understand where you draw the line on it. And I don't think I'm the only one that gets bothered by this. I think it bothers many people. Yeah, just like I say, we just got thicker skin, I think, and just learn to take it. It's a bit like there was something else. There's something else. It's in my book. I saw a video and it was like it's like it was, I think it was a comedian, but they said it's okay if I upset you. It's okay. It's okay to be upset. That's true, isn't it? You know, okay, I offended you. Okay, you're offended. You're gonna have to deal with that. You know, it's like it's not such a big deal. It's okay to be offended. It's okay not to be happy about something. You know, that's natural. Um, I think, and then the point is they go too far trying to control, and they want to be the victim, and it goes so far beyond normality, where it's just like you can be offended and move on with your day. You go, oh, that was a bit rude. You know, why can't you just shrug it off and just say, okay, that was a bit rude. I did like that. Oh, wish people would be a bit more understanding. You know, you can have things like that, but don't have to go beyond that. Yeah, I did like that. Yeah, you're offended. Okay, you're offended. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, that's my little moment, really, trying to figure it all out. I mean, like I say, I can't figure it out because I can't understand, because I don't know the correct way of addressing, and I don't understand where this diversity thing ever ends either. Again, you know, I just don't understand why we keep changing history. Let's be authentic. Let's be accurate. And let's appreciate people from the past as well as the present and future. You know, I just don't why we've got to keep wiping the past out. Yeah, I don't understand it. Life is going a bit mad. I think we're all having a bit of identity crisis, maybe, and we're trying to figure ourselves out. And then everyone's got to try and blend in together, and I think that's where the life's getting a bit mental. But I think it's never going to work if we keep trying to control other people. All we can do is control our narrative. We can only control our lives. How do I want to live my life? How do I want to be? What do I want to do? How everybody else treats me around that is really none of my business. All I can do is be me. And then that's it. I can't control the narrative of other people. I can't control the behaviour of other people. There's just nothing I can do about that. So why would I concern myself with it? If someone wants to be rude, okay, they're being rude. Again, if I got offended by something, I'd have to say, oh, okay, I'm offended. The end of. And that's how we need to learn thicker skin.